Hello and welcome to a new episode of Reptil TV with my intro animal. You know, those who know me know I'm a huge fan of spiny-tailed agamas. So today I have another spiny-tailed agama for you. This is Uromastyx ocellata. I actually had to look up the German name for it. According to the Reptile database, they're listed as the eye-spotted spiny-tailed agama. The ocellata part was probably translated as eye-spotted, which likely refers to these spots or ocelli here. So in German, the eye-spotted spiny-tailed agama. But I think most of us know them more or less as Ocellata, actually. Yes, a beautiful species of spiny-tailed agama. These are juveniles, they're just under a year old now, and when fully grown they reach about 40 centimeters, if I recall correctly. A stunning desert dweller, mostly vegetarian in its diet, so lots of seeds, flowers and some leaves, with a bit of animal matter as well, of course. By bulk, I mean during the day it's 40 to 50 degrees, and at night everything drops off freezing cold. So truly beautiful terrarium animal. They are available, although you won't find Uromastyx just anywhere, and especially the ocellata aren't easy to find for purchase. So you definitely have to look around a bit to get these animals, but then they're fantastic terrarium pets, which is why I'm featuring them as today's intro animal. Today's topic is hate comments. The question came up also during a Ask Stefan episode. Someone also asked, how do I deal with things like that, with haters or hate comments? I think on the one hand, everyone who is active on social media is familiar with this, but I also believe people encounter it in their private lives, or in my case, especially in a professional or business context. For example, if you're self-employed or if you work with animals, of course that's also, well, I wouldn't say it's thin ice, but it's definitely an area where you're quite vulnerable, and where people sometimes it's just cheap hate you encounter, and other times it's criticism that at least tries to be well-founded, or maybe actually is, or maybe it's even justified and fair. So it's about how I deal with it, or what I regularly come across. Here I'd also like to make a bit of a distinction, especially in the area of animal or reptile trade and keeping. Of course, there are animal rights activists who generally say that animals shouldn't be kept at all, or especially not exotic animals. Whenever I hear the term exotic animals, I already start to get a stomachache. But there are people who say that, of course, no animals should be kept at all, and that obviously makes me a target for them. I can't change that. You won't be able to change those people's minds. So it doesn't really make sense to engage with them. But there's also criticism that comes from within our own ranks. So it's actually terrarians who are criticizing you. I find that hits closer to home, because, as I said, these are terrarium keepers, people who share the same hobby. One main point of criticism is the commercial aspect. Some time ago we did an episode about a reptile rescue center, and issues like this came up or became apparent. I think sometimes there's a bit of a distinction made, who is the good guy, who is the bad guy. So the Reptile Rescue Center is seen a bit as the good guys, and not the dealer who trades in reptile trees, the bad guy. I sometimes ponder this and ask myself, yeah, why does it have to be that way, or what sets us apart? I think you have to realize everyone has to earn their living, whether I earn it by trading or whether I earn my living as a rescue center. I make my living with terrarium keeping, with terrarium animals every single day. As I said, people assume that trade is just commerce and that it's all about the money and who knows what else. I think that's just something inherent in people. People simply assume that if someone has a business, no matter what they're selling, they're only interested in selling and so on. And when it comes to animals, you're more vulnerable to criticism than if you didn't have animals. I think that's actually a bit of a misconception. These are, after all, it's not like I had no choice at all about what to do with my life. I don't have to sell reptiles because it's supposedly an especially easy and lucrative way to make money. I think everyone would absolutely and truly agree with me that this is by no means whatsoever a guaranteed or surefire path to success. Like, yeah, nothing's easier than making money with reptiles, right? So with that in mind, you might genuinely wonder, what is it that makes me as a dealer always end up in the defendant seat time and time again? Well, I'd really like to share a comparison with you, one that I've personally speaking found to be quite interesting throughout my entire life over the years. There's a, what's his name? I think Tom O'Berry, well, I'm not sure anymore, O'Berry. I think Tom O'Berry, they'll put it on the screen below. This O'Berry used to be the trainer for Flipper, you know, Flipper, the dolphin and so on, that TV series. This O'Berry was the dolphin trainer. There were actually several dolphins. They used, I think, a total of 5, and he trained and taught these dolphins, and the show Flipper was really successful. They watched it well. I did too, for example. It was definitely one of the most successful children's and youth series in the world. And this O'Berry was always the trainer, but honestly, he was always kind of a minor figure. At least that's what I think. Then at some point, Flipper stopped being produced, and then the dolphins, well, some of these 5 animals were sold, and one of them died relatively soon after. There were some scandals about that, and O'Berry, I would say, switched sides, you know. He was a dolphin trainer during the Flipper era, and at some point after Flipper, he became a dolphin protector and said, dolphins are simply far too intelligent. They're not suited for captivity at all. Dolphins shouldn't be kept at all, neither in dolphinariums nor held captive for display purposes or for movies like that. And so he, well, let's just say he switched sides without judging that as good or bad, but he went from being a trainer to being a protector. He also made a documentary about it. The Cove was the name of that film. He made a documentary like that. That film even won the Oscar, and I saw it back then. And then O'Berry went up on stage and got a standing ovation from all those stars. So they all stood up. Everyone who was at the Oscars, you know, I can't remember exactly who it was. So all the big names in the industry, I can imagine, you know, Pamela Anderson and who knows who else, and some famous celebrity actors and so on. They were all there giving him a standing ovation. That was really quite interesting and genuinely fascinating for me to see and experience. So an O'Berry, who as a professional dolphin trainer definitely did some truly great and important work to make the Flipper television episodes possible, never really got any fame or recognition for his efforts at all. But then when he eventually becomes an animal rights activist, suddenly he gets an Oscar award and standing ovations and things like that from people everywhere. Don't get me wrong, animal protection is absolutely, truly important, absolutely good. The question is he really right? So on the one hand, when we look at these dolphins in this environment, it also raises an open and ongoing question that people continue to discuss. Is it really wrong to keep dolphins in? Are they too intelligent? Or this commercial dolphin hunting, whaling that exists in the world. So there are, for example, the Japanese, or also in Northern Europe. I don't know, I think the Finns, I believe, hunt and eat dolphins, or maybe not the Finns, but ethnic groups from Finland or Iceland. It could also be Iceland. Is that really not allowed? So I'm allowed to hunt and catch tuna, but I'm not allowed to hunt, catch, or eat a dolphin. It's all just complicated, you know. And like I said, long story short, my conclusion from all this is, of course, I always have it much easier than the protector. Whether it's the Reptile Rescue Center, where the dedicated animal protector takes in and carefully cares for the reptiles, or like O'Berry, who becomes a passionate and deeply committed dolphin protector. or even the various animal rights organizations we have in this world. For quite a while, it was absolutely totally trendy for PETA and company to stand in front of the camera with them and say, oh, the poor animals, and so on and so forth. So right from the start, I'm the good guy when I appear on behalf of such an organization. And if I now appear as someone who runs a reptile business, no matter whether I do it well or badly, I'd claim I do it relatively well. I would say that I put a lot of time into education, that I really try to sell healthy animals, that I really try to help people through advice, to help with this Reptile TV. But in the end, I can do whatever I want. I will always be the dealer, and because of that, I am vulnerable, and because of that, I am always the bad guy, the one who only does it for commercial reasons, you know. So once again, commerce, of course, everyone has to make a living from what they do. Obviously, there has to be money left at the end of the month. That's logical. But it has to be that way for both sides. One person does it through donations, receives donations and has money at the end of the month from donations, grants or other sources. Another person has money at the end of the month because they sold something. The money has to come in, you have to survive. I'll just leave it at that for now. The topic was actually hate comments. That's my contribution to the topic of hate comments. I will always be exposed to them. You might be wondering now, what have I been rambling on about all this time? What I really want to say here is that as someone who actually does this work commercially, I am in fact always exposed to these kinds of comments all the time. There isn't much I can do about it. These were just meant to be a few points to think about whether it's really always fair to make these kinds of prejudgments, especially towards someone who, as I said, does this commercially. I'm curious to see your reactions. Maybe you've all already fallen asleep, or maybe you didn't even understand what I was trying to tell you. I'm curious, comment. Yes, I understood what you meant, Stefan, or what were you rambling about? Or what does O'Berry have to do with what you're doing, and so on. I'm honestly curious. I think it's something you can really have a good discussion about, exchange ideas with each other in a positive way. I'm looking forward to it. Stay loyal to me, and if you have time, check out an old episode of Flipper. It was a great movie.